Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I am Mr. Warren Hayes, and if you are watching this live, I apologize for the incredible amount of tardiness and lateness. It would appear as if I had some internet connection issues, but they are all settled up now. At least I hope so. I'm going to go preview my stream right now. But I do believe that everything is perfectly okay. There we go. There we go. Everyone is here. Holy smokes. Your boy Warren has been, is everything is okay. Hey, everyone in the chat. John is here. Kristen Ashley is here. We got Graham, legendary GF. Apologies if you've been waiting around for the past, holy crap, 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes. In fact, I bow to you. I thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. Thank you very, 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 very much. I'm Warren Hayes, and this is my recap of Raw of the November 19 edition of Raw 2018. Man, I did not care for tonight's edition of Raw much. But before we actually get into that, all right, last week, the week that just passed, I had a crazy week. I had a maniacal, crazy, cuckoo, nutty week where I had podcasts every day. I haven't had this busy a week of podcasting since I started in May, I want to say. May, June. And, I had my own usual stuff here. I had my stuff over at Fightful.com. I was invited on Spees and the Benchmark show. I had 2 prediction shows, and I did the post shows over on Fightful. I did an extra show on Fightful Select. Plus, I debuted a new show. It was crazy. I would just want to take a second here to thank everyone who took a minute to come and watch, even if it's just one of the shows that I did. Everyone who took the time to come and take a look, join me live, hang out, or even on demand afterwards, I appreciate every single person who took some time out of their day to come give me the impression that I have something to contribute to the universe. Basically. Man, this was, it was crazy, and I appreciate it, and thank you very much for your support, your encouragement, your love. Dare I say love. There's a bunch of people in the chat right now. John, Kristen, Graham, legendary GF. I think I mentioned all of that before. You know, if you're in the chat right now live, if you're listening, but you're not in the chat, which is cool, which is also something that can happen, why don't we get some more people in here? Tweet the link out. Get more people in here. Give a thumbs up on the video. YouTube likes that. So that also helps create attention and attraction. And if you're watching this later on, that's fine. Thank you. Again, thank you so much for doing it. It's very much appreciated. My schedule this week, if we want to chat about a few things before we actually get into Raw itself, my schedule this week isn't as harsh as last week, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm doing my Raw recap right now, finally, now that I got a proper modem working. And then tomorrow I'm doing my SmackDown Live recap right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. You can come here, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about SmackDown. Hopefully it'll be better than Raw. And then on Wednesday, it's my 205 Live NXT UK recap show over on FightfulSelect.com, which is the premium service of Fightful.com, premier combat news sports website, where we talk about pro wrestling, MMA, boxing. You don't care about boxing and MMA? That's fine. You head to FightfulWrestling.com. You go there and all you have your exclusives and news and scoops, all there, just all pro wrestling. Now, if you want more of that fantastic Fightful-esque content, you go over to FightfulSelect.com, and you know what you do there? You subscribe. You sign up. You give a few bucks a month to the boys at Fightful, and then you get to see me do my weekly 205 Live NXT UK recap show. You also get to see me do monthly retro pay-per-view podcasts, which I do with managing editor Sean Ross Sapp. We do those. We've got a bunch of them in the can right now. We've been taping a whole bunch of them. So I'm really excited to see what kind of schedule we've got lined up for them. We have one for Royal Rumble already set up. I'm not going to spoil you for that one. We've got one in February. Why February? Because there's a certain event in February that has to do with love and chocolates and hearts. Perhaps it is a Valentine's Day. I wonder what happened as far as pay-per-views goes that has something to do with Valentine's Day. Anyway, we got a bunch of those set up, and it is it's amazing. It's super cool what we do there. There's also the Weekender podcast. That there's going to be some changes coming up. We've got some new guys coming in to do more content. Go check it out. It starts at $5 a month, and you're supporting Fightful directly, and that's awesome. You're making sure that we also you also ensure that I get to keep doing what I'm doing. And if you go sign up because I'm telling you to, why don't you just drop a little message over to your boy Sean Ross Sapp, and you tell him, you say, Sean, I came here because Warren Hayes told me to, and he threatened my children or my dog, whatever feels closest to you. So that's that, and so that's my schedule coming up. One last thing before we really do actually dive into the content that we actually stop talking about my plugs. My boy Wilfred from the Wilfred Watches podcast, who does, by the way, I don't know if you're aware, Wilfred Watches as a podcast covers New Japan Pro Wrestling, covers British wrestling, women's wrestling. He's a great guy. He's the opposite of me because he covers all sorts. He covers non-WWE stuff. I cover a lot of WWE stuff here, but he covers a lot of non-WWE stuff. So he has this great podcast out there. He's a cool dude, a buddy, a chum. And we came together and we started up a podcast, a new monthly podcast called The Kings of Chat Style. He and I, basically the concept goes like this. There's two hosts, he and I. We have two guests over, and we talk about two topics, wrestling related. And we had our inaugural show. This past Saturday was our very first show. We were fortunate enough to have Editor-in-Chief of Diva Dirt, Kristen Ashley, on the show, as well as Anthony Suter of the Smart to Death podcast. Two fantastic people who I personally, truly and sincerely appreciate. And they were kind enough to come on our inaugural show. We kicked it off, did it this Saturday live. You can go back and listen to it right here. You can watch it right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. You just scroll through my videos, recent videos that I published. It's right there. Or if you like the podcast thing better, well, Wilfred hosts the audio of that on his own podcast, on the Wilfred Watches podcast. So you go to your favorite podcasting applications such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, Podbean. Anyway, whatever one, you look for Wilfred Watches, and the audio for the Kings of Chat Style should be right there. Monthly podcast. We'll be back in a month. 2 new guests, 2 new topics. The topics we discussed here are comedy wrestling and what it takes to create a new promotion in the 21st century, in the current context, in the current landscape here. Because there's a lot of rumors going around that there might be a new promotion appearing. You know, Jim Ross is hinting at it. So is Cody Rhodes. What's the deal? What's going on? So we talked about that. It was a lot of fun, and I'll say it. I said it once. I'll say it again. I can't thank Kristen and Anthony enough for jumping on here. That was fantastic. Look at all a lively chat tonight, folks. Mizzy is here. Look at that. We've got Chris Jeter, who has graced us with his legendary presence. I'm very glad to see such a lively chat tonight. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Again, if you want to tweet the link out, give us a thumbs up. That's fantastic. But before we go on, before we do one more step into the future, we are going to have to do bold predictions! Yes! It is another Monday night. So therefore, previously to this Monday night, I went to my timeline over on Twitter and I requested, nay, I demanded from my timeline their boldest, wildest predictions as to what could happen tonight on Monday Night Raw. Let's get to it. Let's see what we have here. We're going to start with the CM Rebel, who says Baron, I'm assuming Baron Corbin, maybe another, I don't think it's another type of royalty. Baron announces Braun isn't here tonight because he has been traded to SmackDown Live for the Usos. Ooh, that's a bold prediction, and also that would be an extremely bad trade for SmackDown. Raw would gain one of the best tag teams in WWE. One could argue the world, definitely in the top 10. And SmackDown would end up just with Braun. No, that'd be bad all around. But a good bold prediction. Mike Neon says Enzo shows up and vapes like a boss. Oh, poor Enzo. No, not poor Enzo. Not poor Enzo. I'm sure you've all heard by now. You've seen the footage that he ended up in the arena last night for Survivor Series. He had a wig on. He probably wanted to pull some stunt during the cruiserweight match or something. Man, this is a guy, 1 year ago, he was working WrestleMania. And now he's showing up incognito, trying to be shocking at WWE shows in a company that he has burned every bridge in. I think that's a textbook definition of desperation. I think that's what that is. That's a bold prediction nonetheless, Mike Neon. Joshua Anderson, who is a regular contributor to the bold predictions because his predictions are so bold. Braun Strowman announces his match against Corbin will be a handicap match. Corbin versus Strowman and Nicholas. That's very bold. You guys know that in 18 to 10 years, not 18, but 10 to 12 years, they're bringing Nicholas back for one shot with Baron, and not Baron, but with Braun. You know that's going to happen. That's the kind of thing that WWE's a huge sucker for. Jacob Bright says the Authors of Pain will come out looking for a challenge, and out comes Goldust, and he introduces his partner, Stardust. And they come down to the ring and beat AOP for the tag team championships. That's so bold, it makes us cry. Because it will never happen. But that's why they're bold. That's why they're bold. Jacob comes in and he says, water polo tournament to crown the first ever WWE Undisputed King of the Multiverse World Heavyweight Champion of the World. And he says, I'm really going off the deep end this week. Oh, pool jokes. You get it? Water polo. Deep end. That's some clever, bold predictions right there. Good job. Good job, everyone who sent in bold predictions this week. Today, because tomorrow is going to be SmackDown Live. And I'm going to need some more bold predictions to fill up some airtime. I mean, to do stuff. Oh, there we go. What's going on here? Very lively in the chat. Bold prediction. Grant Cook says bold prediction for next week is more than an hour and 30 minutes of actual wrestling. Yeah, I think Graham is referring to the fact that there wasn't much. There were a lot of segments tonight. I felt it was maybe a little heavy-handed on that end. Why is my phone unmuted? Why is these things? Why do these things happen? All right. We're going to start recapping. Perhaps you are wondering why tonight I have decided to entitle my episode The Downward Spiral, as it is indicated here on the Warren board. No, it is not a whiteboard. It is a Warren board. Mother always said branding is important. We have, this is day 3 of WWE, of consecutive days, 3 consecutive days of WWE wrestling programming. Started off with one NXT TakeOver War Games. You'll have to excuse me. I still get the, I still get a little, get the sweats thinking about those matches over on War Games. Those were something else. That was a good show. Then we had Survivor Series, which was another good show. Not on the same, not on the same level as NXT War Games. And I don't mean NXT is so much better than main roster. That's not it. They're 2 different types of shows catering to 2 different types of audiences. Survivor Series as a main roster pay-per-view goes was a good show. But it was a little under. It was a little under TakeOver. And then we get to Monday Night Raw tonight. And I mean, from Saturday, it's really gone like, But since it's a spiral, it sort of goes, and if you're watching in Australia, it goes this way. So, I am not enchanted by tonight's episode of Raw. And I'm going to try and stay as positive as possible because I like to think that I am positive. Like, I like to think that at least when I have issues with stuff that happens on the show, it's concrete and I can argument properly. I can talk about it without just saying, this sucks, terrible, such and so, awful. But, oh boy. Let's start talking. Look, we're going to start with probably my first, the first segment of the show, which was probably my favorite. When Baron Corbin came out, I thought the first segment started off well. Baron Corbin comes out. He's all grins because he basically won. He told what's her face, Stephanie McMahon, that he'd ensure what's her face, that he'd ensure the victory for Raw, and he got it, so he's not getting fired. Of course, he's got a shit-eating grin on him. He's coming out. He's a happy dude. And then he starts sucking up to Stephanie McMahon, who comes out as well, and basically he starts jockeying for the position of general manager. Now, if you are the owner of the Raw brand, you know, you'd hire this guy, right? I mean, he said he'd go out. He'd go out. He'd tell, he'd make sure that everyone would perform and win. Not only did they win, but they swept Survivor Series. Swept. What tag team Survivor Series match you speak of, sir? Those did not happen. You must have dreamt those. Perhaps you were in a desert, perhaps delirious with thirst, and you believed you saw an oasis of tag team competition in a Survivor Series format. No. There were no SmackDown victories that evening. It was a sweep, a Raw sweep. So basically, he starts jockeying for his position as general manager, and then you have Braun's music that hits. Braun comes in and he tells Stephanie McMahon, "You made me some promises. You have to honor them." She says, "Fine, you get Baron Corbin as we had arranged previously. He's all yours. Pick your day, pick your stipulations." So we're getting Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin at TLC in a table, ladders, and chairs match, which strikes me as a little bit odd, wouldn't you say? Two really big guys, tables, ladders, and chairs, where you're mostly used, when I say you, I mean me, used to seeing smaller, more nimble dudes who are used to being more harsh on their bodies. And then what do you suspend over TLC? I know there have been, and I've been racking my brain since I started streaming, trying to remember a TLC match that didn't have something suspended in the air that actually ended with pinfall or submission. But I can't remember. It's completely evading me right now. It does, but I mean, it's okay. I'll manage. But it was still a bit strange to me that this is what they're going for as a TLC match. But we'll see. So they chat a bit some more, and then this leads into a match. Oh, no, wait a second. There's stakes to this match. Just before we go, there's stakes to this match because Braun also requested his Universal title match against Brock Lesnar, and basically said, "Well, Brock Lesnar, you can get him at this is Stephanie's talking. You can get him at Royal Rumble if you can defeat Baron Corbin in your TLC match." And what's in it for Baron Corbin? Well, if he can defeat Braun, he's the new general manager of Raw. I like this. I like stakes in a match. Stakes that are important for both guys. It's on two different complete planes. One's for a championship shot. The other is for being the boss of Raw. And I think that was really, really cool because I like stakes. I complained enough that Survivor Series doesn't have any real stakes. Brand supremacy doesn't mean anything. Sibling McMahon rivalry is dull and doesn't provide proper motivation for any wrestler in the Survivor Series matches. But here, this is cool. Chad is saying here, Graham Cook says a meat castle on a pole match. That's pretty funny. Kristen Ashley, she's in here. She's saying that she wants the tax in the match. That's crazy. And the suplex and the Grange, welcome, says the suplex off the ladder spot in that match is still one of my favorite spots. I'm not sure which match we're talking about, but hey, we'll see. Maybe we can clarify that as we're going along. So all of this initial entrance leads into a match which has to do with Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre teaming up to face Braun, Elias, and Finn Balor. Now, my boy Sean Ross Sapp, hello Jacob, welcome to the chat, good to see you. My boy Sean Ross Sapp over at Fightful, he said he put out the news that he had received word that the scripts for tonight's Raw were handed out just before the show went to air. Now, this is not a common occurrence in WWE. Not sure why that happened, but this is the situation. This is what happened. And I think it explains a lot as to why the show just dragged on and felt at some points even that it was swimming, that it was running on place, like it was on a treadmill. And it kind of feels like the guys and gals were sort of thrown together without much knowledge or preparation beforehand. And I think it was especially evident in this match here, which actually turned out to be an elimination rules match. We learned that when we came back from commercial, because this match was not good. It was not good. Bunch of action to begin with. Finn, of course, is babyface in peril at first. Drew flattens Finn on the outside, and Drew suplexes him as well. Lashley spears Balor into the corner. Finn tries to reach his corner, but he eats a deep six by Baron Corbin, who covers him for 2. He eventually does get to his corner and gets the hot tag over to Elias. If you want to call it a hot tag, it was fine. It was a tag. The crowd popped for it. But it wasn't that hot a tag. And I think it's normal. I've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks. You know, Elias is a heel. His offense has always been heel-like. Very plodding, slow, methodical. Now, as a babyface, he has to be more explosive. He has to have offense that is more outreaching, that'll get the crowd pumping. And I don't think he's quite there yet. I believe that he will be, but giving him a hot tag, especially when I feel that his hot tag also shows his lack of experience as a tag team competitor. Because getting a hot tag, making a hot tag hot, I should say, it does require a certain skill set, a certain mindset to make it work. And Elias just isn't there yet. The kicks that he delivered in the corner were fine. His mule kick, as Michael Cole calls him, when he hangs himself off of the top rope and then puts his feet on the dude's shoulder to kick him, that's not superb. It's not an explosive move. It's become one of his signature moves, but it's not something that people go cuckoo crazy for. Elias still has some work to do. I mean, he's embraced the character of Elias fantastically. His guitar work has improved. He's been fantastic as far as that goes. But babyface Elias in the ring, we're not there yet. And I think he was a bit exposed tonight. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this match because I didn't think it was all that special. Drew Claymore's Finn Balor for the win after he Topi Conhilo's Corbin and Robert Slashley and Raymond Corbin. Back from commercial, Elias is in trouble. He's your babyface in peril now. Drew hits a big boot to Elias' stomach that landed really hard. There's a spot where Lashley and Drew bait Braun on the out to the outside, and that allows them to take out Strowman for most of the match so that he doesn't interfere. Lio Rush is laughing at Elias from the outside, who goes after Bobby Lashley's hype man. Leo tries to avoid the offense, Elias's offense, tries to somersaults off the apron to avoid it, but it ends up with Lashley spearing Elias on the outside, who can't make the count back into the ring, so he gets eliminated by countout. I think it was a good way to protect Elias. As a heel, they didn't really care about the amount of times that he lost, but I think as a babyface, they're going to want to watch his win-loss record a little more closely. So I think that was a good way to keep him strong. But now there's only Braun left in the ring. Anyway, the match ends with a DQ when Braun power slams Corbin. And Drew McIntyre breaks up the pin with a chair. And then the heels go to work on Braun. They break his arm. No. Sorry. They break his elbow. No, wait. Sorry. No. They shatter his elbow. That's much more. That creates much more. It's much more dramatic than just breaking an elbow. It's shattered. Babyfaces. They get their faces smashed. They get their elbows shattered. It's not just broken. So, but I actually liked how this angle happened. You know, the heels used Baron Corbin's belt to immobilize Braun's arm, and Baron just picked up the extra set. They draped it across the stairs, the steel stairs. Baron took another set of stairs and just crashed it on it. It was a cool visual. Braun sold it like crazy. I thought this was a bad match, but a good angle. It's just a shame that it took 35 minutes to get to the angle. That was not spectacular, folks. It could have been a lot better. Chris Jeter says, F the Drifter. An hour of the Drifter is an hour too long, or however long he was in the match. Chris Jeter, by the way, I know as a colleague from my tenure over at the Daily DDT over on the Fan-Sided Network, and Chris doesn't like Elias. So you get a recap of Dean's promo from last week where he sat next to an oil drum fire. So that brings Seth Rollins out, and he's lamenting about Dean. He says he's learned more watching the Dean Ambrose Chronicle than he has being with his best friend, because he never talks, he never speaks, never says anything. He never picked up the phone while he was in his injury, never called, blah, blah, blah. He kind of sounded like a jilted lover at some point. But the Dean Ambrose Chronicle, by the way, it's a must-see. You should take a look at it. Kind of gets you in the brain of Dean Ambrose. Makes you wonder if Dean really is the heel in this situation, to be honest. And I like that. Anyway, Seth says he's feeling aggressive. He's looking for a fight, and Dean is backstage. He's on the Titantron. He says, look, you think... He says to Seth, says, look, you think I'm going to run down? You're going to get me all riled up and I'm going to run down there? No. You know where to find me. Come get me. So Seth obliges. No, he says something. Dean says something to the effect of, everyone gets what they deserve. Look what happened to Roman for his part in the Shield. He has to answer to the big guy. Now you have to answer to me. And I saw a couple of people. A couple of people not very pleased with the fact that they brought up that they're using Roman's real world illness, his leukemia, to bring this angle forward. But you can rest assured on one thing for sure. If they're bringing it up, when I say they, I mean WWE, in their creative, if they're bringing it up, for sure, 100% guarantee, someone ran it by Roman, and Roman said, absolutely, you can use it. And I wouldn't see anything else. Roman understands the business. He absolutely understands the business. He knows what's going on. For sure, he said yes. So there's no issue here. It's not disrespect. I'm pretty sure this is what not Michael, but because I just saw my note about Michael Cole, but I'm sure Roman would want this. He would at least want his absence to be able to continue to feed something. So Seth runs back, and then Michael Cole starts asking Renee, right? Renee, Dean's wife, what do you know about this? And Renee tonight was kind of like, yeah, of course. You come after me, the easy target. You know what? At some point, Renee is going to snap, and she's going to be like, "Fuck you, Michael Cole. I don't have to answer, justify my husband's actions. He can do whatever he wants." She's going to snap, man. She's this close. Next match, we had Sasha and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Tamina. Nia has all the heats. She is very, very hoot. Why aren't they doing women's tag teams championship titles yet? Because what is this for otherwise? Other than giving Nia Jax a win and some more heat. Motivated Sasha is fun Sasha, like we saw her on Sunday night at Survivor Series. The time that she had in the ring I thought she was good for it. She felt like it. But unmotivated Sasha is boring Sasha. Like tonight. Again, this was a very, very dull match. Not much going on. And I mean, Tamina has, her knees are shot. She is not going to be mobile anymore. Nia doesn't move around much either. But nothing really clicked here. You know, there was even this one part where Sasha runs at Nia and she face slams Nia and she goes after her and she goes for a kick and Michael Cole calls it a shining wizard, but it was so messed up and it didn't connect. Shining wizard, kinda. The only big move was when Tamina ran Sasha down on the outside with a lariat. That seemed like it hurt. Bayley showed some aggression. She got a Thez press in on Nia with some fists. She goes to the top rope, goes for a crossbody, but it doesn't work. And then Nia she punches Bayley with the hand, and I groaned. I'm like, oh no. And then they referenced it again throughout the evening. Yes, I know. Hashtag face crusher. God damn it. Yeah, I've heard it enough now. Later on in the evening, you know, she point to her hand and so. You know, the thing that, like, this is always a question of, you know, this is nothing new of a wrestler injuring another wrestler and then using that incident to generate heat for themselves. It's nothing new. We've seen it before. Owen Hart breaking Stone Cold's neck, and he'd include that in his promos. Recently, Sami Callihan with the baseball bat. That was stupid, though, because it wasn't even a wrestling move. It was just a poorly planned spot, but still. But I'm okay with it to the extent where Nia will get her comeuppance really, really quickly and will be able to move on, because, you know, she doesn't have the main criticism that I've always had about Nia Jax is and still is how wooden she is as far as her delivery is, her character delivery is. And the main problem that I have here is that I think the heel maybe that they want to create out of this, Nia Jax doesn't have the charisma or the ability to pull off the heel that they want from this situation. I really don't. I think that as opposed from last night, if they want... Last night, they have on Survivor Series, they ended up with two women who could either be the heel in the situation and would do it fantastically well. We already know Charlotte is a fantastic heel. And I am of the opinion, and I've been talking about this as well a couple of episodes before now, I feel that Ronda Rousey would be better served as a heel as well. Here, Nia's... It just feels like a gimmick. It just feels really tacked on. She doesn't look... It doesn't come across as convincing. And I think the heat that she has right now is legitimate heat. That people really don't like her because they don't like what happened to Becky. And it won't translate into character work, because the moment that Becky gets her match against Nia, that'll be that. It will be a blow off for the ages, but that'll be that, and it will be from that point on that it will be super interesting to see what happens next with Nia Jax. Everyone's like, why are they giving her the push? She's not getting a push. She was already getting a push. She was Ronda Rousey's next opponent. That was set before the accident happened. I don't want her to be fired. I think she has potential. I think she has certain naturals in the ring. She was called up too early, but this isn't the first NXT star that was sent up to main roster too early. Anyway, I spent a lot of time talking about this. Nia Jax got the win with a Samoan drop on Bayley. Dean Ambrose appears on a screen behind Charlie Caruso, who was starting up an interview. And this was weird because then that means Dean has connections within production to help him play his mind games on Seth Rollins. It says basically, if Seth wants to find me, he knows where to find me, or something like that. He goes into Seth then back from commercial goes into the stairwell where he thinks Dean is, because that's where the Shield would cut their promos, in stairwells. But he's not there. However, instead of having Dean Ambrose there is mysterious, menacing graffiti that says "Burn it down." You know what? At least the Riot Squad used ketchup and mustard. Drake Maverick is at catering, and there's a bunch of pee jokes that happen. And this is just... I'm going to wait till we get to the AOP match. Lucha House Party against the Revival, the only survivors of the Raw team, of that team, of the tag team Survivor Series team match, 10-man tag team survival of the series match that happened but didn't quite happen. But they were all that was left of Raw against the Usos. They looked good. It was fun. So what do you do then? Do you continue pushing the Revival to keep making them look good? No, of course not. You put them in a match with Lucha House Party, and of course, Lucha House Party on 205 Live, they do come to the ring with a piñata, Penelope the Piñata, but they come with one piñata. Now, of course, here all three guys have a piñata, and it's already borderline racist, but I think it's, but of course on Raw, the pee puns in the catering scene. Yes, I'm coming right back to that, but you'll see why. That is something that has Vince McMahon splattered all over it, because you're in trouble. Why were you laughing? You're in. Of course, Vince McMahon thinks that's funny, right? So of course. Well, why does the one Mexican guy have a piñata? They should all have piñatas, damn it. They're Mexicans. They're a party, a lucha party. What do you have at a Mexican party? You have piñatas. Make it happen, pal. This was another very nothing match. I did not think that it was that good. The only things that were of interest were the Lucha House Party guys tagging themselves in and hitting some signature offense. Lince Dorado doing his straight, like, timber kind of fall, and Grand Metalik coming off the ropes. Then there was this one spot where Scott Dawson caught Kalisto caught Kalisto's leg as he was doing an enziguri, and then he sort of dragon screws it. That was cool. That was really, really cool. That was it. Match came to an end via top rope moonsault by Lince Dorado, and there's nothing here. There's absolutely nothing here. They were tossing the piñata around to distract Dash Wilder. Why would Dash Wilder even want to be distracted by it? We get a recap of Charlotte versus Rousey from the night previous. That hell of a beating that she took. Don't know if you saw that. Seth is walking backstage with great determination, and he cuts a promo as Dean sort of appears in the back and then slinks away. But he doesn't see him because Dean was really in the back. The cameraman saw him, but the cameraman doesn't get involved. The cameraman doesn't go, turn around. No, he doesn't do that. The cameraman is neutral. He doesn't get involved. But Titus O'Neil, though, he comes out and he says, Seth, what you doing? Dean was right here. And Seth asks him, which way did he go? And Titus goes, how does that? Titus O'Neil literally just came out saying, I just saw Dean Ambrose. He was right here. Let's say Titus is 10, 15, let's say 20 feet away, and he sees Dean Ambrose over there, and he's like, wait a minute, that's Dean, and he's looking for Seth. And he starts walking over, obviously, right? Because he's going to come into the shot eventually to tell Seth that Dean was right there. So he's coming over, and then he sees, he's obviously walking down a hallway in a straight line, or at least within a line of sight of Dean. He just saw him. He's not like looking away. And then he gets there, and then Seth says, where did he go? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Of course you just saw him. That didn't make sense. He was right there. You had just seen him. You just told Seth Dean was right here. Come on. Titus. Ronda Rousey is, and will be in the ring. She goes to the ring to a chorus of We Want Becky chants. She talks about defending her title against Jax at TLC. She's aware of how dangerous Jax is, but she's already thinking about Charlotte, saying someday, somehow, some way, I'm going to find you, Charlotte, and we're going to finish what we started last night. This really does feel like 4 horsewomen shots that were fired last night. I think this is going to keep on going. She says, but I didn't come here to hit my poses and talk about fighting. I'm ready to fight because I'm a true champion, something like that. The Becky chants are getting louder in the meantime. And she says, if I can't defend my title tonight, then I don't deserve to be champion. Baron Corbin comes out and he says, your request to defend your title is denied. She says, what, do you want a piece of the champ then? Crowd pop's hard for that. Now, I know WWE has this weird vision of intergender wrestling in this era, where, and Triple H is on the record saying, intergender wrestling, it's all about shock value. It's not something that we want to do, especially in the PG era. But they've been teasing this more and more, I find, as things have been going on. Becky calling out everyone, basically calling out Seth Rollins not too long ago and making fun of his tights, and everyone's like, yeah, let's have Becky Lynch fight Seth Rollins. That'd be great. And here you have, Well, then you have Nikki Cross in NXT, who's ready to fight anyone. She's cross-bodied Adam Cole on a couple of occasions as well in NXT. You have this again tonight. Is it me, or are they testing the waters? Are they just sort of not dipping their toe, but just like swirling like the very, very tip of your toe, just swirling it around the top of the water, not dipping, just like, let's see what happens if I do a circular motion like this, because it's been happening more and more. It's interesting. I'm sure something's going on there. I am sure something's going on. Anyway, basically Corbin relents and says, okay, look, I'm going to go back and I'm going to find someone for you to fight. Then everyone on Twitter explodes and says, Shayna Baszler. It's not Shayna Baszler, god fucking damn it. She's not going to come up yet. They need her in NXT right now. And yes, she's going to come up soon to do the 4 Horsewomen angle, but she's not going to come up until Ronda Rousey is a heel. And do you know why Ronda Rousey is going to be a heel? She's going to be a heel because the 4 Horsewomen of UFC have to be heels in a feud with the WWE 4 Horsewomen. The 4 Horsewomen of WWE are not going to be heels. They're going to be baby faces. Are you kidding me? Come on. Relax. Baszler's not coming up yet. They need her in NXT. It's enough. It's Mickie James that comes out. And this was not good either. And I really wanted it to be good. I got excited. I was like, yes, Mickie James. She's such a good worker. She could get a fantastic match out of these cups here. You could stack cups like this, and I'd say, Mickie, have a competitive match with these cups stacked in this fashion. And she'd be like, sure. Don't ask me why I have these cups. But this was not good. And something happened in the ring because at some point, Mickie was kicking Ronda, and Ronda started no-selling. And Mickie just walloped her one across the face. Did you notice that? Or maybe it's just me? But something happened during that match that Mickie didn't like. And I think that's what happened. I asked you not to ask me why I had those cups. 3 Piper's Pits gets Mickie James into the armbar for the win for Ronda Rousey. You know, calling her move, her rolling fireman's carries, the Piper's Pit, it's a little on the nose. No disrespect to Roddy Piper, was formative for me in my wrestling love. Anyway. Ronda walks up to the top of the ramp, and Tamina is there, and Nia, they come out behind her, and Nia does the fist thing. And I swear, anyone else, I think it would really work. I really think they could get something out of there. But Nia is so, she's so dry as far as her characterization goes. I'm glad to see Chris Jeter agrees with me that it's a dumb name. The Piper's Pit for the move. Okay, AOP versus Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Now, Warren, I don't know why you got so upset last night. You know, about Drake Maverick peeing his pants. It was just a stupid spot. It was just a silly spot. Drake Maverick, on one hand, is the general manager of 205 Live. And as I said on the Survivor Series post show over on Fightful.com last night, there was no reason for them to do that and ensure that without ruining his credibility over on 205 Live. Maverick was brought in once Enzo was kicked out of the WWE, when the title was vacated. His character of general manager was brought in as the guy who would straighten the division out and create true competitive matches, right? And he's been perceived as a respectable, level-headed, unbiased general manager, respected by his talent. And then on Raw, he's become a joke. Oh, look at the little guy who peed his pants because the big angry giant had him in a chokehold. So what I was afraid would happen happened tonight, because the pee thing has extended to the Authors of Pain as the audience chanted AOPP. And it's one thing to want to make a comedy spot with Maverick, just a one-off thing, but they brought it back tonight. Talked about it with the catering thing, with those stupid jokes, the dumb puns. I am a pun. I appreciate a good pun, but all the puns that they came up with to make fun of him pissing his pants. Old hat, junior high school level puns, folks. So the fact that this is crossing over to affect the Authors of Pain bothers me. And it still boggles my mind that they haven't managed to create a proper push for the Authors of Pain. It should be so simple for them. It's the easiest thing, but now they're being saddled with a comedy act or this ridiculous spot that they did, and now it's carrying over onto AOP, and that just helps ruin their mystique some more. They had trouble taking down Seth Rollins to win the titles, and now tonight there's this silly shit with the piss and Drake Maverick, and then they get a roll up into a pin. I have never seen a surprise roll up happen on Authors of Pain ever, and it's Chad Gable and Bobby Roode who pull it off. Who, by the way, what the hell are they still doing together as a tag team? Obviously they're on the same page now, because now they have two tag team finishers. They have the awesome moonsault into a neckbreaker thing. That's a moonsault neckbreaker combo, which is, let's be frank, awesome. And then they have the German suplex into a neckbreaker. So they're obviously setting aside, Rude not being too happy about Gable taking up his spotlight. There's no more dissent. They're going to be a legit tag team now. I don't understand. I don't understand at all what's going on, and the way that they're handling Authors of Pain, just as you thought, right? No, they're going to do it right. No, they put Drake Maverick into this stupid angle. And it's bleeding over onto Razar and Akam. And again, this was another nothing match. There was nothing much to it. You could really tell that this entire show was so slapdash. It's not a surprise that the scripts were handed out so late. Hey, Anthony from Smart to Death is here. Blaine, who finally got the time to actually catch a live show. How you do? Kristen Ashley saying that I should have a Kristen Ashley t-shirt on. You know what to do. Just send one to my P.O. box and I'll put it on. So that's that. Your main event match of the evening, I did say match, Natalya versus Ruby Riott. All right, first and foremost, I'm glad that the women are in the main event on Raw for a second week in a row. That's cool. I'm all for that. Secondly, as much as I was excited to see Natalya and Ruby Riott, and I thought when this happened, I was really, really glad because I was like, okay, cool. Ruby Riott doesn't have the proper time of day. Put her with Natalya, who's a fantastic worker. Give them a feud that has to do. Sure, okay. Ruby Riott, she's an asshole for what she did. Let's make a nice crunchy blood feud out of it. And I was happy that at the pre-show on Survivor Series, someone in creative realized, hey, we can't put Ruby Riott and Natalya in the same team. I thought I'm glad someone woke up. So when they booked the match for tonight, I was like, cool. But then I realized that this here was just some cross promotion for the season finale of Total Bellas, because they ran a commercial for it where Natalya obviously has to deal with the death of Jim Neidhart. So I'm like, oh, okay. So then I turn into full cynical mode, unfortunately, because I realize now that all this match was ultimately was cross promotion. And that sucks. Anyway, they come in hot on each other. Natalya drops Ruby Riott on her ass, hits a basement drop kick, covers for two. Natalya tries to go for the sharpshooter, but Ruby wriggles out of it. The Riott Squad distracts Natalya long enough for Ruby Riott to land an STO. Nat battles back and goes in hard on Ruby with some strikes. Ruby slams her down to the mat. She goes to the second rope with a back senton, which looked painful. That was a nice spot right there. She goes back to the ropes. Natalya tosses her off, and Natalya gets the sharpshooter on, but the ref is distracted. Liv Morgan gets Ruby Riott out of the move. Back in the ring, Ruby Riott goes for a roll-up. It's reversed by Natalya, who gets the pin. This was fine. It was actually probably the least offensive, most interesting match of the night. This wasn't so bad because of the stakes, because we knew something was going on here. It could have gone longer. It could have gone so much longer. It could have been much more intense as well. I mean, Natalya should have just ran straight into her. Like I said, when they did the glass snap, when she snapped the glasses, I didn't want Natalya to crumble to her knees and cry. I wanted her to spin right around and go kick the shit out of Ruby Riott. That's what I wanted, and that's what I wanted tonight, but I didn't get it. I got a fine match, but there was something much more personal, much more visceral here. We didn't get it, unfortunately. But I'm sure they got all the footage they needed for Total Bellas, though. Here's hoping, fingers crossed, that this was not the blow-off, that maybe we'll go on a little further. If we don't go on a little further, then unfortunately, it was just a setup for the season finale of Total Bellas, which stinks. Our main event segment has to do with Seth and Dean here tonight. Now, Seth and Dean tonight, there were way too many backstage segments with them. There were way too many of them that didn't lead anywhere. It was basically a retread of the previous segment in another context. Dean cutting a promo from some obscure area in the building. Seth being on the fly interviewed. That happened 3 times each. We had like 6 segments of this happening. The only segment that was actually really cool was when when Dean was walking in the background as Seth was giving his interview, because it was like, oh man, okay, this is some really cool stalker shit. Right up until Titus O'Neil came and said, he was right here. Where'd he go? I don't know. Anyway, I've talked about that. It was too long. And this is prime WWE storytelling. Prime smoke and mirrors storytelling. Where just because they're they're putting the guys on TV, they're giving them lines, so you have the impression that there's a buildup. You have the impression that the story is going forward, that there's mind games. When in fact, you're just watching the same thing over and over again. You're going from point A to point A to point A to point A. And then eventually you get to point B. So my issue isn't due to the fact that I dislike this feud. I like scene. Why do I keep calling him scene? Seth and Dean. I like them both, and I think they're going to have a fantastic match together. And yes, I want proper build up to it. But if you're going to occupy so much time on screen to build to a segment it turns out, a final brawl, give us more meat on the bone here. Because Seth essentially did nothing except do exposition. Dean did nothing except exposition. If there had been more moments where Dean was skulking in the shadows while Seth didn't realize it, man, that would have been really, really cool. If there had been more devious actions rather than Dean cutting a promo where in a boiler room somewhere or wherever, saying that something stinks and it's probably the people from LA. If there was something else other than that bringing us to this moment, but there was no real build-up. It was just all very flat, very there. And if they know each other so much, if Seth knows Dean so much and Dean knows Seth so much, shouldn't they be able to find each other a little easier? They know their haunts, they know their... And it's all culminated with Dean going in the ring, cutting a "you people" promo, and literally saying, "You people smell bad." There's your heel heat, folks. What is this, 1982? Am I 10 years old? And then Seth runs in, and they brawl for a bit. And here's the other stupid thing. Then you see Seth on the Titantron, and Dean sees him. He's running back into the arena. He's hitting the ring. And Dean is like, oh, okay, he's coming. And it's only when Seth hits the ring that Dean starts to run away. I don't understand. I don't understand this segment. And just because they're putting your guys on TV, it doesn't mean it's proper build. Just because they're giving them time, a lot of time, doesn't mean that they're doing it properly. Less is more. There is such a thing as putting quality time. They could have extended, given 5 more minutes to Natalya and Ruby to tell a really good story in their match. If they had cut 2 of those 2 pointless segments between Seth and Dean during the evening. It didn't serve a proper purpose tonight. It was very long in the tooth. It didn't add anything. There weren't layers being built on top of each other. It was just sort of there. You know, when you tell a story, that's what I meant when I was saying earlier, from point A to point A. You tell a story, you go from point A to point B, from point B to point C to point D. WWE has this fantastic ability of giving you the impression that we're going from point A to point B, when in fact we're going from point A to point A to point A to point A. Now we go to point B. And then sometimes, we even come back to point A, and we'll go back to point A and point A and point A again. As it stands right now, Seth and Dean, for the past couple of weeks, has been pretty much a point A to point A situation. Got a little more interesting tonight. Now, the proper build-up to TLC is going to happen. So I'm expecting this feud to move forward. But man, those segments they had backstage, that corny-ass promo that Dean cut tonight, really, like, coming to the ring and having a little rag and saying, "Ugh, you guys smell horrible." Anyway, I didn't care for tonight's Raw at all. It's just smoke and mirrors, folks. For now, the Dean and Seth. But we'll see what happens next week, as long as everyone gets their scripts on time. With enough time, I think it'll be a better show. And we have SmackDown tomorrow. The Blue Show is usually better. Well, folks, holy smokes, we're getting to the end. It was ending later because of technical issues. But man, woo, we made it through. I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat tonight. It was very lively this evening. Had a lot of folks. I'm glad a lot of people had a chance to jump in. That was great. I want to thank you for watching, even if you're not watching in the chat, or not watching in the chat. Even if you're not in the chat, but you're watching, or if you're watching later on. Thank you so very, very much for joining me. Make sure that you pop in tomorrow right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes for my not 205 Live, my SmackDown Live recap, and because it's always a good time. Thank you again very much, everyone. I'll see you next time.